Hello everybody and welcome back to Side Projects with Zeph. In today's video I'm going to be taking these and just running them all on one PC instead because that's a big collection that I don't need. I found myself having a very minor issue. I have all of these consoles but I don't really have the means of putting them up. And because of that, I've decided to build the Batocera PC. As we move forward, all you're going to need is a flash drive that is 8 gigabytes or larger. I recommend you get yourself a larger one. A 512 seems to be the greatest one because Batocera is only going to activate 8 gigabytes of the partition, and the rest of the partition of the drive is actually going to be disabled. We can actually re-enable this and give it a name, and in this case, I use it as a transferable drive. So this system is launching internally off of an SSD. I have 3 hard drives in there, an 80 gigabyte classic drive that's been running my NES, SNES, PS1 and stuff like that for a very long time, a 500 gigabyte Western Digital that I'm using for my later stuff, PS2, GameCube, Wii, that generation, and then I have the 500 gigabyte SSD that's running the Batocera operating system and also has a bunch of Windows applications that support controller. It's important to understand that as we move forward, this is a Linux system, so the file system is going to be different. For those of you interested in putting this on an Android device or a Steam Deck device or anything, the website will give you the options to select different installers. Just make sure that you use the installer for the device that you're trying to use. If you have any questions about that, usually you can just Google it. The Batocera wiki as well as the Discord have been very helpful. It is very important to state that those guys are going to have a lot more information.
So when you're on your Windows PC, what we need to do is first head on over to the batocera.org/download page, check out the documentation. This is what I'm going to be using moving forward to help discuss what we're going to be doing. This is going to be how I get images to explain what I am talking about, so please just take that into consideration as we move forward. So once you have your 3.1 gigabyte Batocera file, all we're going to do is find it in our downloads folder here, and we're just going to unzip it. Go ahead and delete the original image zip and keep the .image file. With that, we're going to open up Balena Etcher. If you don't have Balena Etcher, it's actually a free program. If you'd like to get Balena Etcher for yourself, you can get it at etcher.balena.io. From there, you can do a flash from file. Open your Batocera image file that you got. It should be 8.5 gigabytes. We're then going to select our target. In this case, we're going to be targeting a 32 gigabyte unorganized drive. We're going to allow Balena Etcher to do what it has to do as it etches and writes the operating system to the micro SD card. And then from here, it is as simple as putting it into the computer and changing your boot registry or bootloader, which I will show.
Changing your bootloader on your computer is actually pretty straightforward. If you've never gone into your BIOS, all you have to do is restart your computer from a full shutdown and simply hit F2 or delete on your keyboard as the computer's turning on. You can just simply tap it consistently and it should give you a menu. Let's go ahead and see what this computer's menu looks like so I can show you. My particular PC is a Asus PC out here in my living room. And as you can see down here in the bottom right, we have boot priority. And as you can see, it is generically launching from the Batocera PNY USB, which is actually not what I want it to do, because that means it's loading the Batocera off of the USB stick, which over a longer period of time could result in damage on the flash drive and cause corruptions on some of my data. So what I want to do is now switch all and put my SSD as its priority target when launching. So I'm changing it from the UEFI OS PNY USB 3.2, which is going to be the straight up flash drive that we just created, right? But for this computer, I'm going to be launching from the SPCC solid state. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And as you can see, it's now booting into Batocera.
If you're wondering why I'm showing this now, I'll tell you. I don't really want people to overwrite their existing hard drive accidentally inside of Batocera off of their USB. So just showing people real quick how to specifically launch off of their boot device as well as boot off of the USB is very important. If you just want to boot off of the USB, all you're going to do is put your bootloader to the USB. Thank you.
And there you go. Now you should be fully loaded into Batocera. And that is just the beginning of the quest that you are on to make Batocera even better than it is stock. Now, if you guys are a little bit perturbed about making your own launcher or going through this process to create your own flash drive, or it seems like it's too complicated, or ROM management is not something that you understand, even though we're going to get into ROM management. Hello everybody, welcome to take 2 of this video. I didn't intend for this to happen, but it is kind of what happened. So my entire original emulator account and situation just broke. So I had to go to the store and I had to buy a new entire SSD, M.2, because my flash drive died, and the flash drive had Batocera, and that Batocera was installed, and that Batocera that was installed was corrupt. But we're going to go over everything from the very ground floor with Batocera, starting with the keyboard shortcuts. Now on screen is the controller reference right here. This is going to be your controller reference for whenever you want to do anything. And when it says hotkey, this just means whatever button you assign when you're mapping that controller, which I will show you.
So let's say you have to set up a controller, right? So I have this controller here, and this is going to be my Xbox One controller. But as you can see, the inputs are all incorrect. Nothing's working right. So what we want to do is reset it and connect up a new controller. So on our handy dandy keyboard, we're just going to hit the space bar, and we're going to go over to the controllers and Bluetooth settings and load up the controller mapping. Now, you can just set up a wired controller, or you can wire a controller up and then it would also automatically map it or present you with the controller mapping menu, which in case you would follow along with that. And for Bluetooth, obviously you would just activate the Bluetooth by holding down the home and the sync button and have the automatic locator, and it would just add it for Bluetooth. But since we're gotta remap this controller, let's hit enter, and then we need to hold down a button so that way we get this menu. So once we have this menu, I can then do all of the on-screen prompts. And then in the last one, it's going to be hotkey. This is going to be defined by whatever you want to make your menu button. So for on Xbox, it's this button. And now my controller is perfect. We are Gucci.
So to start off, the first button we're going to do is hit spacebar. This is the most important. And we're going to go down to our network settings. Now, if you're using wireless internet, make sure you turn on your Wi-Fi in this regard. Because what we're going to do is go back over to the main PC and install a piece of software called FileZilla. That FileZilla software will allow us to remote access into the file directory of this computer, allowing us to drag and drop whatever we want into this computer. So we want to make sure that we are connected to the internet and have Wi-Fi enabled and everything is working. And the very next thing we want to do is make sure Batocera itself is fully up to date. So you just go to updates and downloads and start update. Shouldn't be an update. You can check the butterfly build, and you can see that this is a dev build that I'm not going to be using. I don't want to use that at all. So once we're done with our network settings, we're just going to go ahead and set up a controller. So we're just going to go ahead and go back and go to our Bluetooth settings. So right here you have your controller and Bluetooth. I already have a controller connected, and I don't even know which one it is. It's so frustrating. Now there's 2 of them. So once you have your controller, you're just going to go into your Bluetooth mapping. You can pair a device here. You can have it automatically pair pads, specifically by selecting pair Bluetooth pads automatically. You also forget your devices as well if it's easier. So like I want to unplug all this. So for this video, I'm going to be pairing up this Xbox One S controller. To do this, all you have to do is hold down the sync button on your Xbox controller, as well as this, the home button or the hotkey button for this. So you just do it like this until it flashes a little bit faster than usual. And then I'm just going to go into my Batocera and do the pair. But since this controller is already paired, it just simply paired once it found it. The next thing I want to do is very important, especially if you're going to have multiple controllers connected, is just make sure you select what controller you're using by default. So I guess I'm using a Lick Pro controller, which I'm not, I don't think. So yeah. So now that we have a controller set up and we have the internet set up and we've done our basic updates, it's time to take a look at what ROMs and emulators and things like that are available to us. However, nothing's available to you without moving anything to the system. So if I am watching this, or if you are watching this, I'm assuming that you have ROMs and you're already eager to get moving them. So let's move on over to the PC again and get started with FileZilla.
Hello, welcome back to the PC. So when you go to the FileZilla or FileZillaProject.org, you're going to see two options for a download. You're going to want to install the client. So once you have the client installed, you're just going to go ahead and launch it. And your window will look like this. Your host is going to be whatever the Batocera PC's IP address is. For my PC, it's 192.168.119. I'm guessing a lot of people will have similar or close code. So your username is going to be root, and your password should be Linux, I-L-I-N-U-X, and your port is going to be 22. So this is what's going to pop up, is these three folder systems. We're just going to collapse it real quick just so we can get into it. So on the left side is my PC. This is all of my drives. This is my PC that I'm on actively right now. The window underneath it is going to be whatever is within that directory. On the right side, you're seeing the Linux PC. And under here is the Linux directory. And as you can tell, it does look very different. So the first thing we want to do is locate the media drive. And then from there, we can locate our main drive. So your main drive should be Batocera. This is the 8 gigabyte drive that was partitioned just to run Batocera. Your share 1 or share should be your other drive. Now, so this is the equivalent of my C drive, as it were. And then this is going to be the other 2 hard drives that I have within that system. If I activate or enter share 1, you will see Batocera again. Now, initially, I thought that you had to install Batocera or put a file system on all of the hard drives. So the 3 hard drives that I put into this PC were actually wiped down to null. And then I used Batocera to then recognize these drives. And it turned out that that is not what you want to do.
To further elaborate on why you do not want to do this for Batocera, install it on multiple drives, is pretty evident. Navigating it is a huge pain in the ass. And then you have Batocera on every single drive. You have conflicting things happening on every single drive. But if you do want to install Batocera on an internal drive, I will show you how to do it. I just want to be very clear. Note, if you have anything on this computer, it will be removed. It's gone. It's going to erase it. Okay? Let's just be clear. But another reason why I feel like this is really important to show is because if you already have a Batocera flash drive that you carry with you, and instead of using Batocera as an internal operating system, you boot into it to play things like off of a laptop, or if you boot off of the USB because you go to school and you play like Super Mario and stuff like that, you can make other people Batocera USBs just by having a USB. So to do that, we're just going to go ahead and hit the spacebar for our hotkey. And we're going to go down to System Settings here. And instead of going down, we're going to press up. I'm using arrow keys, just so you know. So from here, you can find Install on a new disk. And above that, you'll see Storage Device. And if you press Enter on that, you can then select. So what this is stating is internal, any external, and then the 3 specific drives that are within this system. So if you wanted to give your friend Batocera, and you have a Batocera flash drive, you can simply boot into Batocera on any system, then install their flash drive and select their internal drive, and then install it on that new disk. So if I were to exit this, it would begin the format process of the internal drive that I would have selected. So if I were to select Share To and hit Enter, it would then wipe Share To when I exited that menu and then put a bunch of Batocera files on it, and I would just be stuck with it, which is not what I want. So I'm Alt F4ing and restarting that because I don't want to play with that menu. I recommend that you do not play in that menu. I have screwed up many things by changing little options inside that menu. And yeah, you can really fuck stuff up in there. It really needs an update that is like, are you sure you want to do this? And then you can hit no. And yeah, it just needs more context to what you're doing when you're in that menu. So
the reason why I hate the fact that I made this mistake pretty early on is really straightforward to show. So if this is my main operating system and I select this folder, Share, which is its second drive, these are the files, or this is where a lot of the ROMs will go. So since this is the SSE, I want to place things like PS3 games in here and such. So if I scroll down to PS3, you'll see that I have a bunch of these PSN files. These PSN files are actually the installation information for anything installed on the hard drive of the PS3. We'll go over that later on. Is because let's say I go into my Share To here. I have to go into Batocera and then go into my ROMs folder. And as you can see, it's a mess. And it's a massive pain in the ass. However, if you use a empty drive after the fact, like you install a second drive after the fact, it'll become an empty drive and then you can access it this way. And what you do is you create what's called a symlink. Now, a symlink is something we're going to have to do on the other PC. But let's get into how to put ROMs on first. And let's start with all of the generic stuff up to about PS2, because after PS2 is when things will get a little bit more complicated. So media, unlike this PC, is where our drives are. With that stated, I want to check my Share 1, and I want to make sure that this isn't the drive that I'm using for my small games. Okay. So let's say I wanted to play Toy Story 2 for the N64, and I've located on my left side on my main PC. So this is my D drive, Retro ROMs folder, N64 folder, and this is the ROM that I want to move, the Toy Story 2 ROM here. Now, obviously, I don't have it on here. Perfect. So all we're going to do is drag and drop it. And target file already exists. Overwrite if sources. And that's pretty much it. Now, the same thing goes for just about any console you see in here. So let's up. So if I were to go into my 3DS folder, these are my 3DS dumps. I can then drag and drop one of these 3DS. So I can drag and drop my Oracle of Ages directly into that folder, and then I can do a symlink into the core folder, and it should be fine. Yeah, this should be not able to go on there. That's what I thought. All of these drives are massively full. So if I go back and I go to my media, so let's say I'm doing my second drive now, right? So we just looked at share 1, right? Share 1 is where I have like my PS1 stuff. So here are all of my PS1 files. So if we go to my share 2 ROMs, you'll see that I have my PS2 folders in here. However, the way that Batocera works is a little bit different than a regular system. So just because we put all of our files on here doesn't mean that it's going to be able to recognize them. It doesn't have a recursive search system. So we need to go back over to the main PC now that we have our games on the system, and we need to create what's called a symlink.
So we've got some ROMs on there, but Batocera has no idea what to do with them. So what exactly do we do to have Batocera see the games we want to play? It's actually pretty straightforward, but there's a lot more to it than I would like to admit. So like I said, everything up to PS2 is pretty straightforward. PS2 uses PCSX2 and Play Emulator, which means they launch ISOs just fine. N64 can launch N64 files as well as zip folders through Parallel, and Parallel 64 is just another emulator. So there are a lot of options that we don't really have to worry about. Most of these emulators are going to accept zip files anyways. But how do we get them to see if we're using a different drive and we're not putting them on like one hard drive where it's always going to be scanning the same location? To do that, we need to add symlinks to the folders from the other hard drives that are within our system. To do that, we just need our handy dandy keyboard and mouse, and we're simply just going to hit F1 from this screen. From there, it's going to pop up this screen. This is the user interface for Batocera. If you need to configure something, this is where you're going to go. And we are going to spend some time in here later when we set up our PS2 and we set up our PlayStation 3 online. But to start off, let's just real quick make a quick symlink. That way you have a general understanding of how to connect everything up to the PS2. Because honestly, if you don't continue after this point of the video and you just create a symlink within Batocera, you're probably good to be able to use Batocera at its most basic functionality. However, as we proceed through this video, we are going to install Mozilla Firefox, and we're going to be able to go into Kodi and install Kodi. However, I don't use Kodi, so I'm personally not going to show you guys how to do that, but it's already built into the system if you choose to do it. Batocera has an opportunity to become an incredible all-in-one entertainment system. But with all that out of the way, let's jump into how to do a symlink. So as we know, we put our stuff on Share 2. So if we go into our Share 2 drive here on the left-hand side of the screen, we can also go into the ROMs folder and locate the singular game that we just moved on here. Oops. So let's say I'm doing a symlink for our 3DS off of the Share 2 folder. So these are all of our games, and they're not going to load into Batocera at all. I can have all of these on here. Batocera comes with a 3DS emulator, and it still will not know where to look. So all we're going to do is press Control-A on our keyboard. This is going to select everything. And in the top left-hand side of our screen, we're going to see Edit. By selecting Edit, we're going to do a Create Link. And we're going to get a window that looks like this. From this window, we only want to select this option here, which is User Data. And we should get a change in windows. From this window, you should see another option that says ROMs. It's the folder ROMs. And we're going to access that folder in particular. From there, we're going to select our 3DS folder and simply hit OK. Now, if you already have files within there, you're going to get this pop-up here. And we just simply want to apply a overwrite or a skip, depending on how the files are laid out, to this. And if we're doing new games, we might get prompted with a gamelist.xml version of this. It'll look identical, but it'll say games.xml. Make sure you overwrite that one if you have new games, because that is what allows Batocera to see the game listings. From here, we can just hit skip though, and then Alt F4 to exit. So since we just updated our Wii U, we need to hit the spacebar and also do a game setting update game list. This is important. If you do not do this, Batocera obviously will never have recursively searched for those games, and you will not find them. So make sure it searches for them. Once it searches for them, just simply look at your Batocera and flip through and look for the Nintendo 3DS. And from there, you should be able to launch your games. Now, this is identical for every single console, except for the ones past PS2. Dreamcast is a little bit iffy because it uses a folder system as well, but those can also be zipped, so you're less concerned. Wii and GameCube will also use ISOs. They also have different variants depending on where you get your ROMs from, but they're usually 2 gigabytes in size and upward, the 2 to 2.9, I believe, for GameCube. So yeah, they have the NKit variant. Obviously, Dolphin can load an NKit and an ISO, and you can also load the WiiWare stuff, so you can simply, once again, have a flash drive full of your GameCube stuff and just simply do a symlink to the hard drive, restart Batocera, or just do a game search, and then you should be able to select your games. And this should work for Nintendo DS as well, Game Boy Advance, GameCube, Game Boy Color, N64 TurboGrafx, and then we get into some of the more complicated stuff. So we need to get back over to the main PC and have a conversation about BIOSes.
BIOSes. Nobody likes working with BIOSes. They're a massive pain in the butt, but we need to do it in order to have our system work. So what needs a BIOS? Well, a lot of stuff needs BIOSes. So what we're going to do is simply go to our slash and locate our media drive again. We're going to go to our share folder, which is our main directory, and we're going to locate our BIOSes folder. So what you need to do is first understand where to get BIOSes. I'm just going to recommend that you get your BIOSes from the Internet Archive if you can. In fact, if you need anything, I would recommend that you start here. Internet Archive tends to have a lot of stuff that you're looking for. So if I simply type in PS2 BIOS, you'll see that PS2 BIOS logos and firmware and things pop up. So PS2 BIOS Mega Dump. This is a great place for you to look for things. You can get games here, all kinds of stuff. So I would recommend. So inside of your BIOS folder, you're probably not going to see this kind of stuff because this is a lot of mess. But Xbox, so Xbox has several. So if you want to set up your Xbox original to work on Batocera, you're going to need the BIOS boot ROM, the BIOS complex, the pre-built Xbox HDD image, as well as the EEPROM. And once you have all of these, you simply put them inside of the BIOS folder, and they should be located. Next is going to be the PS2. Once you locate the PS2 BIOSes, they simply go in here as well. Just go ahead and fill it up with as many as you can. I believe the PSX is using a artificial BIOS, or a homemade BIOS. PS3 doesn't need a BIOS. You are going to need to go to in order to get the PS3 to work, you're going to go to the PlayStation.com and download the PS3 update here. When you do, you'll get a file not downloaded potential security risk. Go ahead and allow that download. And then once you have that downloaded, you can put that here. But it's very important to note. So remember this location, because on your Batocera PC, you're going to need to install that firmware to our PCS3. So if you're like me and have a flash drive or something to move that data around instead of having to move it through FileZilla, you can simply take the PS3 pup and install it via a USB instead. I will show you how to do this, and I will also show you how to install PSN games as well. So we will do all of that at the same time later. But I guess it's time for us to talk about PlayStation 2, because that has a pretty important overhead to it. And I'd also like to show you guys how to play online, because I'd like to support people playing PlayStation 2 online today.
Did you get your BIOSes all figured out? I sure hope so. So let's go ahead and set up PCSX2 and be a little bit more in depth with it and get it to do things that we want it to do that it doesn't normally do. And I'll also show you that it works. But there's also one very important thing that you need to keep in mind in order for this to work. So let's go ahead and use our handy dandy controller keyboard thing and go ahead and press F1. We're going to go to the Applications tab in the top left after I find my mouse. And we're going to go to the PCSX2 configuration. From here, we're going to go up to the top and we're going to click on the Systems tab and go down to Settings. We want this window. From this window, we're going to open up the network and HDD. And this is exactly what I want you to do. Please follow along and listen to me closely. Enable the Ethernet tab up here in the top left. Then come over to these two windows and select Sockets, Auto. Come on down over here to DNS1 and on the right, select Manual. Enter these numbers: 4, 5, period, 7, period, 2, 2, 8, period, 1, 9, 7. And that's it. I just want you to stop there. I want that to be saved into your RPCSX or PCSX2. And then I want you to go down and close it. Next, I want you to go up to the top again. This time, you're going to go over to Settings. And if your game library isn't showing up like this, simply just add the game directory from the Settings tab, by the way. You're just going to go over to BIOSes. And for me, I am using the SCPH70012 BIOS, which I believe is a PS2 Slim BIOS. And the reason why I'm using a PS2 Slim BIOS is because I don't have to use a network card. So the fat PS2s and the older BIOSes required you to have a adapter to use the Ethernet port. It's like a little modem box. However, the later PS2s actually had it built in. So if you use the later PS2 BIOS, you can kind of bypass the need for worrying about that. The next thing you got to do is get the network disk. So once you have your network disk installed and your controller's working, also if your controller isn't working, here's a really quick way if you launched it through PCSX2. Simply hit escape and get this menu, then go to your settings here, and then in the top right is the controller icon, and then you can scroll down and actually reconfigure your controls. This happens all the time for me, where if I don't launch it in Batocera, I get this issue. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to launch it through Batocera to see if the controller still works, and what you're going to see is there's going to be a bezel on the sides. Hopefully my controller just works. So once again, my controller simply just doesn't work immediately, and I don't know why this is. It's really annoying. So it wasn't working because I'm the asshole. I never set it to the Xbox, and it was a different controller. Yeah, so it worked. So once you have this menu and you can select that option there, the ISP setup, it means that you are correct. You are in the right place, and you are about to have working online PlayStation 2 games. Now, I'm going to put on screen real quick. Go to this website. It's going to be PCSX2's wiki for what games work online, and that will give you a good idea of what games to download if you're interested in the PlayStation 2 online. I myself do play PS2 online occasionally, so let's get into how to set this up. Go ahead and agree and create a new setting. I already have one called Gonk because it's already set up, but you're going to have to create a new one. Go ahead and tell them that you have an ISP, and let them know that you have an automatic configuration. From there, let them know that you're using Other. And then go ahead and make sure that the system is connecting to DNAS. Once you've confirmed that you're connected to DNAS, you now can name your network, which is what I did. Now, obviously, I'm not going to save this one, so I'm going to do not save. And once you have that stored on your memory card, you are actually done, because you've just created a save file that is the network configuration of a private server. So from here, we can go ahead and close out of this PS2 and launch a game with online capabilities. So for this video, I'm going to be showing you guys Star Wars Battlefront 2 because it's a game that I play, I know it works, and is fun. So all you're going to do is create a profile for Star Wars Battlefront 2. I don't really think I need to explain how to do this, but if you are newer to older games and you go to here, you go to the internet, you hit OK, select your network adapter, which is saved onto your memory card, allow that to connect. It should take about 5 seconds. That's kind of normal. You do not have to create one of those, and then you can simply join, select busy, and then as you can see, there are servers available, which nobody's playing on. So what typically is going on is on their Discord, they'll let you know when like the groups all coming together to play games and things like that. However, with this Batocera installation being as simple as it is, that means that a lot more people can come together to play these games, and we can actually support the retro community who are trying to pour their heart and soul into getting these games working online again and playable on original hardware. What's super cool about this is you can actually 100% play with people on authentic PS2s. You yourself can play on an authentic PS2 as well. All you have to do is get the save data over to an authentic PS2, and they will locate the servers and load them.
Congratulations on getting your PS2 online. Now let's talk about PlayStation 3. There's some things that you need to know about the PlayStation 3 on our PCS3 when using it over Batocera. So I'm going to show you everything you need to know about that right now. This drive right here is the replacement drive. This is what caused me to have to re-record this entire video. So inside of this drive, I also have the Windows ROMs that I'm going to be showing you guys. So just so you're aware, all of these games will launch in Batocera with a controller and everything and work perfectly fine. We are going to be showing you how to load things off of the external drive and how to sim link these as well. But we really need to talk about PlayStation 3 and some important stuff about PlayStation 3. So hopefully you've already gotten your PS3 update file, and we're just gonna, so let's say you needed to still install that PlayStation 3 pup. You can just go ahead and put that on your flash drive. So you can just drag and drop that onto your flash drive as you see fit. Because we only need that once. And there's a bunch of stuff that we're gonna only need once. So I have a ROMs folder here inside of this external drive, this flash drive, and I made a PS3 folder in here. And here on this screen, you can see this file, this file, this file, and this file. This right here is the Black Ops 3 update to version 1.07. To get updates, you're just going to head on over to ps3.eldostools.org/updates.html. And then up here in this search bar is going to be where you type in the title ID of the game that you're installing. So let's say I'm installing Black Ops 3. This is going to be a HDD installation. So the title ID is going to be NPUB31665. This information is also found in RPCS3, which I will show you how to get that information. But we are going to need this version update to install the game correctly. So we need to move that on over. So Eldo's Tools is going to be where you get your update files. You're going to want to update all of your games, but it's also important to remember that you head on over to the RPCS3 wiki. And we search up that exact same title ID. So if we're going to be installing this game, we need to search up NPU B31665, and then it'll give us the game information. So inside of RPCS3, we're going to have to create a custom configuration for the launch of this game. So we need to make sure that we change it to the CPU and GPU configuration of SPU block size mega and Z-call accuracy approximate. These are just going to be shown to you in a little bit when I set it up. But I just wanted you to be clear that this website right here, every single time you install a PS3 game, you will have to go through this. Check the notes, make sure you have the right update, make sure you have the right mods if it requires mods, and make sure you're using the right patches. So if you don't know what NPS is a tool for you to download PS everything from Sony, essentially. So Vita, PSN, PSX, PC Engine, PSP, normal, Neo Geo, whatever they have available for their PlayStation Store is available through the NPS browser. In order to set up the NPS browser, which we're not going to go over in this video, you can simply go to the nopaystation.com, and they will have a Discord here available for you guys to talk in if you need help setting this up. And all of these will automatically create a copy. I don't know why that did that. But you can download all of these, and then you just simply put them in here, launch this. You will have to fill out all of these. They are on the website. You can, again, just search how to set this up, and you'll be fine. And then whenever you download anything from here, it's going to create an exdata folder and a packages folder. So the difference is when you're installing a HDD game to your PlayStation 3, what you are doing is literally installing it to the hard drive, and then RPCS3 has to locate it. So we need to not only tell RPCS3 where these games are, but that itself is complicated. So we're going to go ahead and put Black Ops 3 and the map pack on here. This will actually be my third time attempting to fix this, so I'm not sure if this is going to work. And then the other format that PlayStation 3s will come in is an ISO like this. What's important to note is that Batocera will not recognize ISOs, and the Batocera RPCS3 will not recognize ISO. So what we need to do is create a folder called demonsouls.ps3 and then put the ISO within that folder. We're then going to use 7-zip to extract the JB folder within it. I'm actually going to cancel this though. So like I said, PS3s do not work with the folder format of ISO. We need to get rid of that. So we also need to create a text document also in here and name that Black Ops 3. We're going to open that and type in the title idea of the Black Ops that we're using. So in this case, we're going to be using NPU B31665, and we're going to hit Control S and save that document. You can see I was trying to fix Guns of the Patriot, and I don't know if that worked. I think it did. So we have that file format there, and then we're going to right-click it again, and this time we're going to put a .ps3 on the end. And as you can see, it's still a text document, so we want to show extension. So If you can't see the file name extensions, you want to be able to see those, and then we can rename and remove that file extension, and we want it to become unstable. So this is now a .ps3 file, and if we edit this in Notepad, you'll see this title ID. The title ID also matches the Black Ops package here, and the Black Ops 3 Giant Map Pack package as well. And the X data, as you can see, we have a plus 312527 wrap, which we don't need. We can actually delete that. And this is the wrap that we need, the 31665. The wrap file is what is essentially the license that allows RPCS3 to launch. So we're going to go ahead and let this JB folder unpack, and then we can delete this ISO. Once that's done, I can then take the flash drive and put it in the other computer, create a symlink, and then I can simply launch the game. But I also want to show you guys when we get over to the other system how to install a wrap, how to install the packages, how to do the update, as well as how to load a JB folder and what a JB folder exactly is, because I'm actually going to move this directly onto the system.
While all those files are moving and setting things up and we have large files downloading, why don't I take the time to teach you guys a little bit more about RPCS3. So once you're in RPCS3, of course there is PlayStation 3 online play that's 100% available to you as well. In order to access that, all you need to do is make sure that your RPCS3 is always up to date. To do that, you're just going to go ahead and go into the F1 menu and access the RPCS3 through the UI. Then you go to Help and simply check for updates. As you can see, I just updated. This will update all the time. I updated this 3 hours ago, and it just updated again. RPCS3 updates a lot. It's just the way it is. Those guys are constantly working on it. So to do anything online, we need to first make an RPCN account. So in the top left-hand corner, you will see Configuration. I'd like you to select RPCN. From there, you just want to select Account on the center of your screen. And you're going to select Create an Account, and then just follow the instructions on screen. All it will do is ask you an email, a username, and a password. It'll then provide you a token. You copy and paste the token or type it in, and then make sure that you're connected. That's all it is. So if I click on Test Account to the official RPCN server, it'll say my account is valid because my password and my token are authenticated. The server recognizes both of them. This allows me to play things like Call of Duty Classic. There are other games that will work, obviously, that's been shown, but you're going to need to go to the RPCS3 wiki and check the compatibility list of what games do work, what games need patches, and how to patch them. I don't have the time to walk you through all of that, so we're just going to load up Call of Duty Classic, and I'm going to show you a quick server menu, and then you'll know it's working. So Call of Duty Classic is a obviously PlayStation 3 classic game. We're just going to simply launch it, and I believe this will also play with anybody on the PS2 version of Call of Duty 1. I'm not sure. I don't believe this is anything specific. My controller didn't work. So just make sure that you configure your controller. It seems like it always wants to use an SDL command or an SDL input. Xbox wireless controllers specifically the one that I'm using, uses an eDev input, so I have to manually change it. Just keep that in mind. If you're not launching through Batocera, it's not going to use the Batocera automatic configuration wizard. It's kind of built into it. So you're going to have to manually flip-flop things when you're doing things like this. So successfully logged on to RPCSN. They know that I'm playing the game, which means I can access things like leaderboards. I don't think they load though. But we can switch to multiplayer and play online, player match, deathmatch, searching for lobbies, and There's nobody else playing, but as you can see, if I wanted to, I could. Let's see if there's any ranked matches. Nothing. Private match. I can make a match. So yeah, you can also add your friends through our PCS3, which is super cool, if you wanted to do that. So now that we have the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 both connected to the internet, we do have some other cool stuff that's available in Batocera that I'd like to introduce you guys to. And thank you guys for hanging out. This video is pretty long. So we're going to pick up our controller one more time when we're on this screen and hit the start menu. And you will see so we're going to go into our spacebar settings. And we're just going to load our game settings. From here, you can go to our netplay settings. And we can just enable our netplay. And this is going to be already set up for the default. So I'm just using the relay server for New York. And I have the nickname Zephyr. And I have my netplay enabled. So all you want to do is make sure that this is turned on. Show rooms for games not present on this machine. So that'll also tell you what's popular and what people are playing. The next thing I want you guys to do is go one up and check out the retro achievements. Now, if you want to have retro achievements for yourself, go to game settings and go ahead and log in and turn on your retro achievements. I'm going to flip through here so you can see the settings that I use. If you want hardcore mode on, turn that on. Most people say it's better that way, but you can go ahead and do that as well and get achievements. Now, you also can do that in PCSX2, so let's do that by going to our F1 UI, simply loading up the PS2 config, going to settings, and we'll go to interface, and at the very bottom it says achievements. We will enable achievements, and then it says account not logged in. Far right hand side, we're just going to log on into our Retro Achievements account and get ourselves a Retro Achievements token. So hardcore mode is it stops you from using like save states and stuff like that. If you're interested in hardcore mode, all the power to you. As somebody who's more casual and more interested in something to do on the couch, I like encore mode. I like having that kind of stuff available. I think rich present mode is really fun, because when I have family over and they get an achievement, they can be excited for getting that achievement. And also, the younger ones will repeat achievements because it's dopamine. And it's a good way to keep them active and busy. So I would also recommend turning on the rich presence mode and encore mode if you have kids. Otherwise, if they're older, hardcore mode and things like that is fine. So we have all of that now saved into here. So we now have retro achievements available through this, our PCSX2, and we also have retro achievements on our Batocera PC natively.
So we're back at our PC. That was pretty cool with all the netplay stuff. I hope that you guys find that as fun as I did. So we have everything here that we need for Black Ops 3 to load correctly when we go over to the other PC. We're just going to go ahead and delete the Demon Souls ISO because we do not need that. And like I said before, this won't have a eject button because it's technically a hard drive. But please make sure that you're ejecting your hard drives. Or if you're using the F1 menu, you fully shut down the system before you remove your flash drives so that you don't corrupt anything.
So in the top left, we see that we have the file transfer, as it's named, transfer, and that is going to be the 500 gigabyte M.2 drive that I am currently utilizing. So we're going to go ahead and find my mouse, and we're going to first move the .ps3 folder. So like I said, it's very important when you're using JB folder formats to keep in your mind that that device is the raw ISO, essentially, right? So we're going to take the Demon Souls and we're going to create a symlink to then be able to launch it in our PCS3. So we're going to right click it. No, we're not. We're going to click on it, edit, create link, user data PS3. Where's ROMs? There it is. And we're just going to hit OK. So now there's a sim link of this folder.ps3 available in Batocera, but not in RPCS3. So I was wrong. It does have its own recursory, and I already added the game library to RPCS3. So yeah, that's perfect. Now we can go ahead and get the PPU modules compiled. This is going to be very important. You're always going to want your PPU modules compiled. Now I'm thinking, oh, no, it's right. You just storing it all to RAM? Wow, it literally just stored it all to RAM. And as you can see, it also successfully connected to online. So that is actually important because, like, if you wanted to play Dark Souls 1, there are some things that happen with netplay that don't happen without it. So having access to some form of online is always better than no form of online, because you don't really know what you are losing without it connected to the online. Okay, now how do we install games? How do we install the updates? Let's get into that. So again, we're going to go into RPCS3, and this time we're going to go up here to the option File. I also want to clarify that this states it's an HDD game, whereas the Demon Souls states it's a disc-based game. It's important for you guys to recognize that there is a difference. So if we're going to install, we're going to go up here and we're going to do the install packages, wrap, and etc. Now, like I said, this is not navigable like Windows. So what we need to do is get to that media folder. So we're going to go to computer / and then we're going to go to media, and then we're going to locate my transfer file drive. We're going to go into my ROMs folder, PS3, and the first thing we're going to do is locate the packages folder and go ahead and install the packages. So we are going to be installing the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 map pack, which it already should have, and we're going to be reinstalling the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 package because this one seems to be potentially corrupt. And then we're also going to be installing a base version of Minecraft. You might be thinking that's all we need to do, and the answer is no. Next thing we need to do is File, Install Packages, and it should immediately open where you last were. So you can click the up green arrow and actually just go to the X data folder here, and then select the wrap file that you need to install as well. So go ahead and install the wrap file, and then you can go back up here, install packages, wraps, and edats. We're going to go up one more time, and then we're going to install our update as well. So if you guys remember correctly, I showed you guys the title ID and the text document thing to make sure it shows up. It works similarly to a symlink where you take that folder and you put it in the user data ROMs folder for PlayStation 3. So it is the title ID and the name of the game, .psn, and then that goes to our PCS3, is loaded and then loads the ID, and then it takes it and loads the game from where it's located. Ops 3 doesn't work, but we're going to go ahead and do a game settings, update game list, and reset it. And what we want to do is press enter and see Call of Duty Black Ops. I'm sorry, Demon Souls. We want to see Demon Souls, which is right there. So Demon Souls did show up. Now, if I go down to M, you'll see that Minecraft is not here. There is no Minecraft. Do I need to do anything else with this system tonight? Yes. Shit. That brings us to the final portion of this video. I'm going to show you guys Windows wine wrapping and getting Windows games to launch. And I'm also going to really quick run you through the Flatpak configuration menu on this. So if you want to install something like a web browser or something like that, it doesn't come native. You have to have it installed. So to do that, you need to use it's not quite proprietary, but Linux-based Flatpak installation service called Flatpak Config. From there, you can go ahead and search and get apps. So like these are my updates. Whenever I flip on Flatpak Config, it's going to give me a bunch of updates. And I'm just going to go ahead and be like, yep, go ahead and update these. These all need to be updated. Ryujinx updating the Nintendo Switch. Then we can go over to our apps and see what's going on. And there's also a search bar, and I can search up something like GIMP. Let's try that. I'm sure there's a GIMP application, and yes, there absolutely is. So if I wanted to, it would be this one, GNU Image Manipulation Program, GIMP for short. And I can click on this one. And as you can see, it'll go to install. I'll say, go ahead. Going to install the GNU Image Manipulation Program. So you could do this for like screenshots, box arts, things like that. If you wanted to use GIMP here, you could put like your favorite creators' signatures on box arts and things like that, and modify the user interface to your liking. So when your Flatpaks are done installing, just like you do with your games, you're going to do a game settings update game list. And then I'm then going to switch on over to the, I believe it's called ports menu. Yeah, ports menu. Press enter. And then in here, you'll see the GIMP team Flatpak. And then if I press enter on that, you'll see that it launches. And now I have GIMP Studio on my Batocera PC. So I can also Alt F4, hopefully, and close it. And then if I wanted to, I could also go ahead and load up Ryujinx Flatpak from the Ryujinx team. And again, it doesn't know where the prod keys are. The system does not work yet. I've tried to get help getting it to locate the prod keys. It needs a way to locate them manually. I don't know. It doesn't see where it says that it wants to look, and I don't know where it's looking. Again, if anybody has any information on how to get the Ryujinx to work, please let me know. Next, we're going to go on over to our Windows option, which I don't know if these are already sim-linked or not, so we'll find out. Okay, perfect. They are not. So since they're not sim-linked, we're just going to go ahead and create a sim-link for them by hitting F1. We're going to go to our transfer drive. We're going to go into our ROMs folder, our Windows folder. And as you can see, there's a bunch of games in here that are not compressed. They're not in any type of encapsulation. None of these have a folder extension, file extension, nothing. These are all just the raw files. So that has a plus and a negative. So games typically have multiple EXEs within them, as well as multiple extensions that have executable lines of code. Batocera doesn't know how to really distinguish between them. And another problem is if you only sim-link the EXE, some games still will not work. So as of right now, it's still recommended by the community that you just sim-link the entirety of the folder. And another problem is you can't really compress it or encapsulate it. You kind of just have to do the entirety of the folder of the game installation, and that's about it, which can be really cluttersome to the Windows menu, but it is what it is. And as of right now, there is not a hide menu, I don't believe, and it's something that I've requested is like a hide game option. So I thought this would be really important for you guys to see, because I wanted to be very clear that this is not good. So I tried to create the sim links from before and then restarted the system, and now they're these exclamation mark signs here. So what we're going to do is just delete everything out of this folder completely, and we want to make sure they're not in our trash can. So we're going to actually empty it even though it shows it as empty, just to be clear that there's no data. Then we're going to go back to our transfer folder because we want to fix the fact that the sim links didn't work. And we want to go back to our Windows folder, do a Control A, edit, and we're going to go ahead and create those sim links one more time in that Windows folder. Okay.
And it's still saying that there's the symbolic link here. And when we create this link and we do that, we also want to go back here and double check to make sure that they are not this. So we don't know why this is occurring. So what we want to do is simply delete. And then in this drive, we're going to hit F5 a couple times, which is the number or the button for refresh. And we're going to double check our trash can. We're going to empty it. Then we're going to eject transfer. We're going to wait for it to disappear and remove the device. Now I'm going to reinsert the device. And it's going to pop back up. So I'm going to go to my ROMs folder again, and I'm just going to double check to make sure that this folder is completely empty. Again, F5s. There's nothing here. We need to, that's been verified, that it's very important for that to be verified. Nothing's left behind. Now we can come back in here. Sometimes games will be the issue. So we're going to just check and make sure that everything's okay by, once again, Control A. We're going to do another symlink and try to verify if the files are being linked correctly. Now, if we go to ROMs and Windows, you'll see that they no longer have that exclamation mark problem. They've been resolved. So what is happening is, since this is a drive that can be removed and used in multiple locations, sometimes the symlinks can be corrupted from the core system. So the main hard drive knew what to look for, but it had been removed and changed, and files had been changed, that every time I tried to symlink it, it was going off of old data and causing a corruption. By spamming the refresh, I've just entered enough nulls into the system to make sure that this directory is actually empty, so that when they bring the new symlinks over, there's no base residual information. There's nothing there. Because even just one bit can flip the entire table to fucking up. Yes, things are that sensitive. Go to game settings and update your game list. Then we should be able to locate our Windows this time right here. Now, like I was saying, because there's different EXEs within here, you're going to get a lot of DirectX setups. And there might be a way of hiding these, I'm not sure. But like, you'll get different launchers. You'll get different launchers every now and then. You'll get some UE4 stuff, some VRedit stuff. But because we're using Wine, we don't really have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. So for the sake of it, I'm just going to launch Blasphemous to show you that it does work. So again, this is the Windows installation of Blasphemous. This version of Blasphemous comes from the Amazon Game Store. I got this forever ago. Great game. But as you can see, immediately it loaded up fine. I'm going to turn on my controller. It vibrated because this system picked it up. And I should be able to press start. And now I'm simply just playing Blasphemous.
Last but not least, I did want to talk about the fact that this does work with the Wii U. If you are interested in using the Wii U with your Batocera, you need to go on over to the Batocera wiki and then follow along from there. So as you can see, looking at it from here, you will need a keys file. And if I open up my FileZilla, I did actually install the Wii U into my system. So we're just going to go ahead and load into this. I'm going to go in here, BIOS, and then if I go down to CMU, which is the name of the Wii U emulator, and open this folder, you'll see, oh, that's not, you'll see titles, prod keys, log keys. All of this is just all of the information for the Wii U. And And then obviously if I go to my ROMs, your data, ROMs, Wii U. I have 2 Sims. I have the Legend of Zelda Maiden of Black Water, and we have the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD. And then over here I have Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess, and Mario Kart 8. I think these 3 are actually all broken. They actually need to be deleted. If I'm not mistaken, these 2 work, but the other ones don't. I do want to get more into Wii U stuff, but for the sake of this video, I simply didn't, because finding WUX files is actually a real pain in the ass. But this is the one that I was finding, and then I was also looking for WUA, because WUA is the one that also contains the updates and DLCs. And I'm looking into building a bunch of WUAs instead, because I'd like to set up like Breath of the Wild. I'd like to set up Super Smash Brothers with all of the DLC. You know, some of the Mario parties and things like that. So yeah, you would do everything the same. So let's just replace WUA or WUX with ISO. So inside of your FileZilla, you know, wherever you're installing your Wii U games, which is supposed to be some kind of file, right? So you would just put the WUX files, like as you see, I have WUX files here, which are loadable. And you would just simply do a symlink. That is how a symlink is described on Windows right there. So once you have those symlinks, obviously you can't do a symlink in FileZilla. You have to do that on the F1 UI over on Batocera on the main system. So then, yeah, you would just load these. And I know that there's like CMU install games, WUP and installer format for titles to be installed on the Wii U console. Like that format sucks. I've never used a WUD or a WUP, but WUXs you can find. They are pretty common. And you can find them on like the Internet Archive as well as WUA. And load line is similar to like the JB folder format. So you would just need to take the WUD dump, put it in a folder, locate the RPX, and then RPX would become the symlink to load the game out of Batocera. And that's how you would set up your Wii U. Hopefully that explains everything. And I decided to put this at the end of the video for that reason. And if you do a load line, remember you can also do a squash FS on that. Do squash. And I believe I said that earlier in the video. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. If you guys need any help, I recommend you guys go over to the Batocera Linux and shoot on into their Discord, because those guys are awesome. I'll be hopping in there for some Switch help to hopefully get that up and running, since I've put the keys everywhere I can think of. And yeah, I guess that's about it from me. I don't really have anything else to say. I think that this operating system is super cool. I'm really happy to have built a Batocera PC. I really didn't want to spend any money on this project, but I ended up having to buy a 1 terabyte SSD, which is okay because this is actually going into another PC that I'll show you guys in a little bit. And then I also had to buy the 500 gigabyte M.2, which again, I'm not upset about. Both of these came with USB adapters, which actually I needed one for M.2 and I needed one for SATA, and perfect.
No, you can't really see it. Can I do it closer? Yeah. So I got a little CRT that I made a HDMI to RCA pass-through, so I can load up games over here and play them. So yeah, I hope you guys think that's as cool as I do. This is just my new little nook. It's just a little CRT nook. Just come on over and you can just load up a classic game and play away. Hey guys, Future Zeph here. So I just wanted to clarify that I'm very grateful that you guys had obviously made it all the way to the end of this video. I'm really challenging myself, as you can tell, to produce content that is drastically different. I was really hoping that the microphone I was using would sound a lot better than it did. I did try to clean it up the best that I know how. So hopefully the video is at least listenable and you guys enjoy it and learn something and follow along and are able to build a PC for yourself. But as always, if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button, like it, and share it with your friends. If we can get monetization on this channel, I will be able to invest more into, say, audio equipment and that kind of stuff so I can make videos just a little bit better. I appreciate all of the support that I've received recently. So I look forward to doing more stuff like this in the future. But until then, have a great one.